Hi, beautiful people. Welcome to Val Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. In today's video, we're going to be learning how to make the stylish IRO and BUBA. It's a combination of crepe and Ankara fabric. It's really stylish. You'll notice that the crepe that was attached to the Ankara was not attached straight, it's slanted. So that is it for me. It's really stylish. I love what I see. I hope you love what you see too and you're interested in learning this. Kindly stay tuned while we get right into the tutorial. So I'm going to be showing us how to take the measurements needed to achieve this buba. First, you need your measurement from your center back. That you can see the center back. So from the center back there, you take your measurement down to the upper arm, the elbow. This will actually determine how wide you want the buba to be. So there is no specific measurement for this. Just this depends on how wide the person wants the buba to be. So wide in the sense how big you want it to be. So I took that measurement from the center back to the upper arm and I got 12 inches, and then from the center back to the wrist or below the wrist, that would determine the sleeve length, and I had 31 inches. And then of course you need the length of your buba, and that is 26 inches in this case. So those are just the simple measurements you need. So to get started, I have my Ankara fabric and my crepe fabric. My crepe is 1.5 yard of crepe and my Ankara is 2.5 yards of Ankara fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold my fabric. So remember I benched the measurement we took. We said the width of our buba is 12 inches. So from the center back. So here my fabric has been folded into two. So you can see I'm going ahead to fold into two, and then I'll also go ahead and fold into four. So right now into two I have a total of 14 inches. Remember the measurement we got was 12 inches. 1 inch is for my sewing allowance, which makes it 13, and then 1 inch is for my slit allowance, so that's giving me a total of 14 inches. So that is why I have 14 inches on fold. And then lengthwise I have 26 inches in length. That's the length of the buba, and then plus my hemming allowance of 2 inches, so that's a total of 28 inches. So with that being said, next we're going to mark our neckline. I'm going to be using a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of same 3 inches. So here, when you're making a buba, you don't need a shoulder slant. The shoulder will not be joined together. It will just be there. That's why we're cutting it on fold, because we'll not have any stitch on the shoulder line. So after marking my neckline, next I'll be doing is to mark the width of my fabric. So I have 12 inches is the actual width, so plus 1 inch for my sewing allowance. So that's where I have my 13 inches. So from that 13 inches, from the shoulder line, sorry. So from the shoulder line now, I'm going to go ahead and mark on 22 inches, which is 2 inches above the hip line of my client. So at that 22 inches now, I'll go ahead and reconfirm my 13 inches. So having reconfirmed my 13 inches, this is for me to have a straight line. So from that 22 inches, that's where the slit of this buba will start from. I hope we get it. So it is that simple. So you can see that extension I will have there is going to be for my slit allowance. So right now it's time for us to straighten out our lines at the down part. This is the full length of my buba, and then the hemming allowance. This is just me straightening it out, and then we'll go ahead and cut out our front and back piece together. So I'll be cutting the neckline and then the side, and then I'll go out that way to have my slit. So here we are. Let's get to cutting. So here we are. This is what we have after cutting out our buba. So let's open it up so that we can see. You see what we have. You can see our slit at the down part, and you can see but also this buba, it doesn't really have any shape, it's just straight. So that's how you make your buba. That's why I said that the measurement from the center back determines the width of your buba. So now from the shoulder line there, that's where I'll be attaching my sleeve. So that's at the side there. So from the shoulder line there, I'm marking 9 inches. This 9 inches is the armhole of my client. So remember that this sleeve will be starting at the upper arm. That's at the mid upper arm there. So that's why I'm using the armhole. So 9 inches, I'll be adding 3 inches to it. So that will give me a total of 12 inches because I want the down part of this sleeve to be A shape. So I've gone ahead to fold my 12 inches, which is going to be for the sleeve. So at the upper part there, I marked 9 inches. So 9 inches from that point, from the starting point, I'm marking 19 inches, which is the sleeve length plus my hemming allowance of 2 inches. Remember that we took our measurement from the center back to the wrist and we got 31 inches. And I said the width of the buba was 12 inches. So 31 minus 12, we're left with 19 inches. So the remaining length of the sleeve is 19 inches. So that's how I came about my 19 inches. So at the down part there, I'm marking my 12 inches. I'm going to be connecting it to the 9 inches I have at the upper part because the down part is meant to be A shape. So it gives you that stylish opening at the down part. I hope we get it. So here we are. The sleeve is that simple. It doesn't have a sleeve cap. It's just a straight joining. So this is me cutting out the sleeve. You can see. So it just opens up at the down part to meet the 12 inches. So here we are. So you can see the upper part of my sleeve is just straight. We didn't do anything there. All I did was to enter my 9 inches at that point. So can you see? This is what the sleeve looks like. So of course I need 2 of this. So I'll be cutting the second one out and then I will show us the next thing to do. So here I have the second sleeve. You see? So this is it. So this is me just bringing in the buba so that I can show us how we'll be joining our sleeve. So here's our sleeve and see how it will be attached to the buba. Of course, it will be sewn using the 1-inch sewing allowance that I actually added to the buba in the first place. So first you just want to get the center of the shoulder, which makes it a lot easier. So this is me just folding my fabric into the sleeve, and then I'll go ahead and notch it to indicate that that is the center. So notch is to just cut a tiny snip. I'll repeat the same thing for my fabric by folding it into 2 properly so that you can get the center. You don't want to miss that point because this will actually affect your alignment if you don't fold it properly. I hope we understand. So just going to go ahead and notch it. Okay, so once I have that center there, I'm going to go ahead and notch it. So that's the center. So I'll make sure that when I'm fixing my sleeves, that those points that have the notches are matching up. So this is me bringing in my sleeve and then I'm going to place it over it like this. And you see, making sure that those points are aligned. And see, so all you need to do is just to pin down that point. So here we are. I'm done pinning one side of the sleeve. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side. So this is how I'm going to be folding the hem of my sleeve. You see, just need to fold it down, press it, and then stitch it down to give that place that neatness. So it's that simple. So next thing we're going to do is to cut the facing for the neckline. This can actually be done with a bias. So you can see I have my leftover fabric. Go ahead and fold it into four, just the same way I folded to achieve the buba in the first place. So I'll go ahead and bring in my buba and then make sure that the neckline is properly folded, and then go ahead and trace out the neckline. It's that simple. So this is me just making sure to arrange everything before going ahead to trace out the neckline. You want to make sure that everything is well pressed so that your work is neat at all times. So you can see the folded part. So I'm just going to go ahead and trace out the neckline and then give the facing the shape I want it to have. You can decide to leave the facing square shape the way it is, but for me I always like my facing to be rounded. So this is totally dependent on what you want. So please feel free to work with what you really want or what you like. So this is me just making sure that I gave it that curved shape. I like it rounded, and it actually looks better than having it square shape, I think, my perception though. So here is our facing. So I'm just going to open up my fabric, and then I'll go ahead and place the facing right side of the facing facing right side of the fabric. So like I earlier said, you can use a bias tape to do this. So if you don't want to use facing, that's what I mean. So this is me placing my facing right side. You want to make sure to pin this down before you go ahead and sew it round that way. So if you don't pin it, it's likely going to shift. Please always endeavor to work with pins. This has a way of making your work really neat and easy. So you avoid, this will actually help, using pins will help avoid too much mistakes, unnecessary losing here and there. So with that being said, I'm going to take this to my sewing machine, and then I'll sew on 1/2 inch round the neckline before I go ahead and tuck it in. So here I'm done sewing the facing to the neckline. So this is me just going ahead to notch the seam allowance of 1/2 inch round. This is actually to help it relax when I flip it to the reverse side, that's to the wrong side of the fabric. So just want to make sure to notch it round. This will actually help it relax, and then you give it a very nice press and everything will be sitting all pretty. And then I've also gone ahead to stitch my sleeves together. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to give it a nice press. So that's exactly what I'm doing. You can see that the neckline is well rounded. Everything is coming out well. So I'll be using hemming gum to gum this facing. That's, you don't want to leave your facing just hanging and then it's sticking out the neckline. So this is me just placing my hemming gum underneath the facing, that's in between the facing and the main fabric. This is for it to hold the facing down. So this just has a way of making your neckline really neat and sitting well. So once I'm done fixing my hemming gum, I'll just give it a nice press and then show us the next thing to do. So I'm done pressing my neckline. Next is to stitch the sides together. Can you see? So you can see that I've already gone ahead to join my sleeves together, and I've also woven that part. You can see that's looking all neat. So By folding it, you can actually appreciate the A shape of the sleeves more. Can you see? So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch the sides together on my 1 inch. Remember, we added 1 inch for allowance. So I'll stitch it on 1 inch all the way, and then I'll stop before just exactly at the point where my slit starts. Can you see? So I'm going to be stopping at that point. So I'll repeat the same thing for the other side, and then I'll come back and show us. So here I've stitched the sides together, and I've also gone ahead to hem the down part. So now at that sleeve area where the sleeve and the boba joins together, you want to notch it, because that point is usually sharp. If you don't notch that point, the boba will not relax. So I'll be doing the same thing for the other side. Remember, I sewed on 1 inch, so that part is going to be sharp, like how do I describe this, like 7. It will look like number 7. So this will not allow it to relax. So you need to notch that angle. Just notch, make sure that you don't cut through your stitch. Just notch closely so that it can allow you iron it well, and that part will be relaxed. So once I'm done with that, you can see me going ahead to fold my slit. Remember that my stitch stopped exactly at the point where the slit starts. So this is me just going ahead to fold the slit that I added. Can see how it is. So I'll fold with my 1 inch and then fold with the sewing allowance. Remember, I left a sewing allowance of I left a slit allowance of 1 inch, and then my sewing allowance is 1 inch. So you want to fold on that 1 inch and then the slit allowance. So I'm just going to take this to my sewing machine, and then I'll show us how to sew it. And you see, I'm going to sew on this side I'm going to be sewing in a rectangular shape. I hope we understand what I'm trying to say. So we are done with our buba. You can see this is what we have at the right side. I've gone ahead to press it. You can see the underarm rather is looking really, really relaxed. So notching the underarm of your buba actually gives you that nice finishing, and everything will be relaxed. So for the wrapper, which is the IRO, remember that from the video at the beginning, you'll notice that the Ankara was slanted. So this is me just trying to achieve that slant. This is the leftover of my fabric. So at this end here, I marked 9 inches. 9 inches at this end. Then at the other end, I'm using the whole length I have there, which is just what is left of my Ankara, and that is about 19 or 18 inches. So if you want your slant to really come out, if you're using 9 inches at this end, I will advise that at the other end you should be using maybe something like 30 inches, so it will actually bring out the slant really, really well. But this is just what I have to work with, so I really do not have a choice at this point. So I'm just going to go ahead and slant it. And then the length of my wrapper is going to be the normal length of wrapper, which is 45 inches. So basically, what am I trying to say? That at the other end where I have 18 inches or 19 inches, I'm going to be extending my wrapper at that point to give me 45 inches. And then where I have 9 inches, I'm also going to extend it to give me 45 inches. So at the end of the day, I'm going to increase the length of the wrapper and also make my crepe also slanted. So I'm going to be showing us how to place it. So this is just me going ahead to cut out the slanted part of the Ankara before I go ahead and place my crepe to achieve the slanted shape. Remember, my crepe, I'm working with just 1.5 yard of fabric. So this will actually have joining. I'm actually making this for a student, and she's on the small side. So this is just what we are working with. So this is what I have. Can you see that the wrapper is slanted? So now I've gone ahead to place my crepe also, and my students are joining me because you can see that it's quite wide, so we had to come down to the floor to make it easier for us to be able to get what we want. So I'm going ahead. I placed my crepe underneath the Ankara. You can see that from here you can't see the edge or the starting point of the crepe because it's underneath the Ankara fabric. That's the best way to achieve it. So we're going ahead to mark our 45 inches, and then of course we're going to be adding sewing allowance. So basically I'm marking on 46.5 inches. So this is me just going ahead to straighten out my line. That's 46.5 inches. That hemming, that 1.5 will be for my hemming allowance of 1 inch, and then half inch for joining the crepe and the Ankara together. So that's about 47 inches. So that's about 2 inches that I added, right? So that's it. So once I'm done straightening my line, I'll go ahead and cut it out. But remember that my Ankara is 2.5 yards and my crepe is 1.5. So I'll need to make up the side that has the shortage. I hope you understand. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my crepe and then show us how I'll be making up the side that I have the shortage. So can you see that I've cut out my crepe fabric? So I've come here to place them together. You can see I'll be joining the crepe at that part. So this is me just going ahead to now cut the upper part of the crepe. You can see me following the slanted shape I have there. So is that simple. So just go ahead and cut it slanted. So you may not have to join if you're using 2 yards or let's say 2.5 yards of crepe. You don't even have to do this joining that I'm doing. Here I'm done cutting out my crepe. So as you can see, this is me just taking out my the excess fabric, and this is me now. I'm going ahead to trim the down part so that the hem are all equal. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and stitch the crepe fabrics together. That's the two crepe fabrics. Then I'll go ahead and join it to the Ankara, which is what I have done here already. So this part with the joining is at the lower part. That's the part that is the Ankara part that is higher. So the part with the joining will actually be hidden inside. You won't see it outside. So if you're joining yours, you want to be very careful to make sure that the joining will be at the side that will be hidden inside, not the side that will be seen outside. I hope you understand. So and I went ahead to also add rope to this wrapper. So we're done with our project. I hope you learned a thing or two from this video. If you did, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Share this video with your friends. Thank you so much. See you in my next one. Bye.